Welcome to the Fibromyalgia Podcast. I'm your coach, Tami Stackelhouse, and this is episode 156. Today, we are going to get down and dirty on getting clean. If you have ever struggled to take a shower or wash your hair, this episode is for you. When my fibromyalgia was at its worst, I tell you, keeping my hair and my body clean was the hardest task I had. It's not something we all like to talk about, but there were many weeks where I ended up in the same clothes for a week or more. I was just too exhausted and in too much pain to even think about getting in the shower. And I honestly felt like there wasn't an option. But little bit by little bit, I did figure out some tricks and some hacks, and I'm going to share those with you today. I am actually excited to do this episode because this is a topic that people just don't want to talk about, right? It's embarrassing if you can't take a shower, if you can't keep your body clean, if you can't keep your hair clean, right? It feels like such I don't know, a basic thing that we should know how to do as a human and be able to do as a human, right? And so, as patients, we don't want to admit that we're struggling with something like this, and we don't want to ask. And for those of us who are influencers in the chronic illness space, we don't want to talk about it either because it's embarrassing, right? There is just so much stigma around not keeping our bodies clean, and for good reason, right? We don't look good, we don't smell good, and we don't feel good, right? The added challenge is that we often will end up with depression. Fibro studies have shown that as many as 89% of us are also diagnosed with depression. And not bathing is actually one of the warning signs for depression. Now, if you're exhausted and you're in pain and you can't take a shower because you're exhausted and you're in pain, that is depressing. So I'm not sure which comes first, the depression or the fibromyalgia, if they have a root cause or if it's just depression about our situation. I think there is a situational depression just because our bodies aren't cooperating, right? And we're not living the lives we want to live. So today I have got 7 specific tips for you on how to keep yourself clean when you have fibromyalgia and things like taking a shower is real hard. So, are you ready? Number 1, be honest about how often you actually need to bathe. Here in the US, there is a culture where we are supposed to take a shower every single day. But for hygienic reasons, for skin cleanliness reasons, we actually, in most cases, don't have to do that. Especially for fibro people, we're not out there running around, exercising hard, sweating real hard. We're mostly sitting on the couch, right? We're mostly sedentary. And so for someone who is sedentary, taking a bath, washing your body every 2 to 3 days is actually good enough. Now, I'm not talking about the stinky bits. We'll talk about that in a minute. Things like the pits, those might need a little more frequent bathing. Like I said, we'll talk about that in a second. But in general, you only need to take a shower, take a bath, wash your body every 2 to 3 days. Same thing for your hair. If you have normal hair, not counting putting product in your hair, not counting, of course, exercising, getting sweaty, a hot day where you're sweaty, normal hair, normal days, you can usually go 2 to 3 days before you need to wash your hair. If you have dry hair like I do, or curly hair tends to be on the drier side, it can take a little bit more oil and moisture. You only need to wash your hair every 3 to 7 days. Think about that. 3 to 7, that's once or twice a week, right? So think about how often you actually need to wash. Wash your body, wash your hair. It might be less often than you think if you throw out all the cultural stigma there. Okay, that's number one. Number two, wash your hair and your body on separate days. This is one of the very first things that I learned how to do. So, washing your hair and your body on separate days, that means generally you're not taking a shower. Or if you are, you're just washing your body, or you're washing your hair and just letting the water rinse over your body. But mostly when I did this, I was not taking showers. I would take a bath at night, and usually an Epsom salt bath. So that bath was getting me clean, but it was also therapy, right? So taking a bath, and then on a different day, I would actually wash my hair in the sink. So, shorter hair, of course, is a benefit to this. But even if you are just hopping in the shower and just washing your hair, or hopping in your shower and just washing from the neck down, it is less time, it is less energy, because it's not just the energy you spend bathing, right? It's also the energy that you have to spend getting dry or drying your hair or whatever it is, right? So split that up. Wash your hair on one day, wash your body on a different day. That's tip number two. Tip number three, only clean what you need to. And this is what I was talking about earlier with not needing to bathe every day, but doing every 2 to 3 days. There are some parts that probably should be washed every day. And those bits, so armpits, right? Washing, your crotch, those kinds of things probably should be done more often, but you can just do that. I'll give you some tips on how to just do that. But also thinking about your hair, if you've got bangs, sometimes those get oily before the rest of your hair. So just wash your bangs. You can do that in the sink. You can pull your bangs out, you can wash them, you can dry them, and all of your hair doesn't need to get washed. So only wash the parts that actually need to be washed. Now that's tip number three. So tip number four is to use those quick clean hacks like wipes and dry shampoo, right? So things like baby wipes are great for cleaning those parts that need to be washed, but you don't need to wash all of you. Dry shampoo is great for getting an extra day or two before you wash your hair. So don't be afraid to utilize those things. I think so often with fibromyalgia, with any chronic illness, with any disability, I'll even say, we have this stigma, we have this thought in our head about what it looks like to be a successful human being, right? And that means walking without aid. That means parking in a normal parking space. That means taking the stairs and not the elevator, taking a shower and washing your hair every day. We need to get rid of those. We need to get rid of those thoughts. There is no reason for those to be true. It's just societal norms. It's just stigma in many cases. We need to set our own rules. And, the goal is to be healthy, right? Be hygienic, be not stinky for your people around you, right? So, what do you need to do that? Not what do you need to do to meet all of these societal requirements, right? So, use baby wipes. You can get unscented ones. I used to buy like a case of the unscented baby wipes at Costco and use those. They were great. You can also, like I said, use dry shampoo. There are lots of little hacks like that, and I will actually put some of my favorites in the show notes. They're starting to make a lot more of these things that are organic, they're gluten-free. We actually have to worry about gluten in our cosmetics and cleansers, but there are a lot more of these things that are safe for sensitive bodies because a lot of them are actually made for babies. So don't be afraid to use baby things because they'll be safe for your sensitive fibro body. So I'll put some of my favorites in the show notes. But number 4 is to use those quick, clean hygiene hacks. One other thing I will actually add for number 4 here. I had a client years ago who had chronic fatigue in addition to fibromyalgia. And so she was very, very low on energy. And she even got the disposable toothbrush things, the swabs and things like that, so that when she was ready to fall asleep, she could still clean her teeth without having to get up and go into the bathroom and do all the things. So there are lots and lots of hacks like this. Number 5, plan ways to conserve your energy. Now, all the tips that I've had so far for you are saving energy, right? Not washing your hair as often is saving energy, right? Only cleaning what you need to is saving energy. Using things like wipes and dry shampoo is saving energy. But we can take that a step further. So, to give you an example, went and got my hair cut today. Yesterday, after I got done exercising, I was a little bit sweaty, but I'm like, you know what? She's going to wash my hair tomorrow. I don't need to wash it today and then have her wash it again tomorrow. That's actually not good for my hair, right? So I put my hair up and just washed from the neck down. Save myself some energy. Didn't mean I have to deal with wet hair and drying it and all the things, right? You can think about different hairstyles, right? A different haircut or doing your hair a different way can potentially save energy. I tell you what, holding a hairdryer over the top of your head, that is exhausting. So how can you save energy there? I actually plan the days that I wash my hair and take a shower around the days that I'm going to Pilates, right? So if I'm going to Pilates on Saturday and on Tuesday, then I'm probably taking a shower either those days or the next morning, right? I don't need to go to Pilates and do something else another day because then I'm going to want to take a shower after I'm sweaty anyway, right? So you can plan around that. You can plan your wash days around events that you have. If you know you've got a family event coming up, if you know you're going to church on Sunday, if you know you have a doctor's appointment, you can plan. Probably maybe not the same day, maybe it's the day before, but you can plan so that you don't have to do it multiple times, right? We're saving energy and doing as little as we can, right? So that's number 5, planning ways that you can conserve energy. Number 6, incorporate mobility aids. This is going back to that thing about the stigma around what it looks like to be a successful human being, right? And that we are too young to use old people things, or maybe even you are at an older age and you just don't want to admit that maybe you need it, right? So think about the things that will save you energy, that will save you pain, that will make this easier for you. So here's some examples. I have a stool in my bathroom. It's just a short little stool, a little one. I got it out at Costco, not at Costco, at IKEA. It's just a little stool, painted white, matches the cabinets in my bathroom, and it literally sits in front of my sink. It's a stool you sit on, not a stool to stand on to be able to reach higher. It's a sit on it stool. And you can sit down to brush your teeth. You can sit down to do all your makeup, your washing your face, doing your I got distracted by my fingernails for those of you who are watching the video. You can sit down to do your makeup, to do your serums, to wash your face, to do all the things, to do your hair, right? You can be sitting down, which saves energy versus standing there. You can also have a shower stool and a handheld shower head. So you can actually sit down to wash yourself, right? Instead of trying to stand there and do all the things, you can sit on the stool. You can have grab bars and non-slip mats. Balance is often terrible for those of us with fibromyalgia. And so to prevent those slips, those falls, getting out of the bathtub, maybe you have a grab bar and some things to help you do that. All of these mobility aids are designed to help you live a better life, right? And so we need to get rid of this idea of what using a shower stool might mean. And we need to just think of them as tools that help us live the life we want to live. You could spend your energy standing in the shower, or you could sit in the shower and then have that energy to spend on something fun, right? That's the playmaker in me. My fibromyalgia wellness style is a playmaker, so I'm going to spend my energy on something fun. Our perfectionists will probably use that energy to get one more thing on the list done. But you can choose where you spend your energy, and it doesn't have to be standing in the shower. So think about the mobility aids that might be helpful for you as you are keeping yourself clean. So that's number 6. Number 7, get help when you need it. Now, when I say that, get help when you need it, you might be thinking a nurse that comes in and bathes you. That is not what I mean. Just to be super clear, I do not mean that. What I mean is things like having somebody else cut your toenails, right? You can go get a pedicure. You can get cheap pedicures where they're just taking care of your toes and that's it. You can get fancy pedicures where they do the leg scrubs and the hot towels and all the things. But it could be basic, and basic is a lot less expensive, right? Another example, I learned this actually from one of my clients who is an esthetician. She said, and she's got real long hair. So shout out to you, Alyssa, if you are hearing this. But she told me that she used to go to the beauty school and get her hair washed and dried. Obviously, it's a lot less energy to have somebody else do your hair than it is for you to do your hair. And right before I started recording, I actually did a little Google search to see what the going rate is for having a beauty school student wash and dry your hair, and it's like $10. So for some of you, you might not want to spend $10 on something so simple, but for others of you, that might be totally worth it. So think about that. What are the things that you're doing that somebody else could do for you? That can also mean maybe somebody else cleans the bathtub, right? You're taking a bath, but then when you're done, like it needs to be wiped out, right? Maybe somebody else does that part. Maybe somebody else cleans the shower. So get help when you need it. That could even be as simple as, hey, honey, I'm ready to get out of the bathtub. And having someone to, help pull you out of the bathtub. Whatever it is, don't be afraid to ask for the help that you need when you need it. So let me go back over these tips again. And these are, we can get real specific on the tips, but these are just some general ones to get you started. So number 1, be honest about how often you actually need to bathe your body and how often you need to wash your hair. It's probably less often than you think. Number 2, wash your hair and your body on separate days. Number 3, only clean what you have to. Number 4, use those quick, clean hygiene hacks. Things like baby wipes and dry shampoo. Number 5, plan ways to conserve your energy. This usually revolves around planning when you do what so that you can take advantage of the energy you're already spending. Number 6, incorporate those mobility aids. If you need them, use them. It's not a reflection on who you are as a person, how good you are. You don't get extra gold stars if you don't use them. Number 7, get help when you need it. All right. So those are my 7 main tips, and I'll be honest with you, some of these things were things that I would talk through with my coach when I was first trying to manage my fibromyalgia. Sometimes we need to have a conversation about our exact situation and why something is hard for us as an individual. And so if you want to have a conversation like that, consider scheduling a consultation with me or one of my students or coaches. I will tell you, every single one of us has fibromyalgia, which means at one point or another, we have struggled with this exact same thing. I promise you. You are going to be talking to someone that you don't need to be embarrassed to share this with. We are going to give you a whole lot of compassion, a whole lot of grace, and we are going to say, I understand, because we do. We have been there. So if you need help with things like this, please, please reach out to us. We would love to help you and to help you make some strategies, some hacks specific to your life, some tips specific to your life. I have just barely given you the tip of the iceberg here. There is so much more. All right. Now I have let me back up for you. I don't think I gave you the link for today's show notes. Now, as I mentioned, I'm going to have some of my favorite hacks, some of my favorite products. I'm going to list them on our show notes page. And that is episode 156. So you'll find us at fibromyalgiapodcast.com/156 for episode 156. And I'll have all those out there for you. All right. So now we've got this week's listener shout out. This email came from Kim, and she sent it to us giving us some feedback on our Fibromyalgia Wellness Style quiz. I mentioned earlier that my Fibromyalgia Wellness Style is the playmaker. Kim is a perfectionist. You might also be the ponderer or the prevailer. To find out, you can take this free quiz. And when you take the quiz, you'll have the option to sign up for a free, in-depth analysis of your fibromyalgia wellness style that gives you tips on how to better manage your fibromyalgia based on your personality. I did a whole episode on the Fibromyalgia Wellness Style quiz. You'll find that in today's show notes as well. fibromyalgiapodcast.com/156 for today's episode. And if you want to take the quiz, super simple, just go to fibroquiz.com. All right, this is what Kim had to say. Thank you for this quiz. It absolutely resonated with me, and the questions were very relevant. I have been dealing with symptoms for 20 plus years and received a diagnosis about 2 years ago. I am so glad I found your podcast, site, and resources. The questions in this quiz sounded like all the things I would want to tell someone about myself when developing a treatment plan. I love that. I'm going to read that again. The questions in this quiz sounded like all the things I would want to tell someone about myself when developing a treatment plan. I am actually crying now, knowing that there is someone out there who truly understands. Thank you so much for that feedback, Kim, and I am so glad that it hit you just right. And so if you're listening to this, you want to find out what your wellness style is, again, it's just at fibroquiz.com. You can also go to today's show notes. We'll have a link to that other episode where I talk more about the Fibromyalgia Wellness Style. Today's show notes you can find at fibromyalgiapodcast.com/156. And like Kim said, we do truly understand, whether it's understanding what it means to be a perfectionist or understanding how hard it can be to take a shower and keep your hair and your body clean. I promise you, we get it. So hopefully these tips will help you. I would love to have feedback. And if you have some extra tips that you want to share, I would love to know. I'd love to hear from you, because then I can add them in the next time I do an episode like this. So thank you guys so much. And I will see you back here next time.